Today is October 13th. Welcome on into Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com. Postseason edition brought to you by Royal Banks of Missouri and Munganast St. Louis Acura. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey. Rammer, we are about an hour and a half away from the start of the League Championship Series in the MLB postseason. Mets and Dodgers from Dodger Stadium, 7:15 start time for those as we are down to the final four of baseball in 2024. You excited for these games tonight and tomorrow?
Yeah, of course. It's the high holy days, of course.
We have, after all of the all of the baseball pundits kind of freaking out over the Phillies being eliminated in 4 games and the talk of, the week off killed them, 5 days off, we can't do this, the hot teams are going to take over. It turns out 3 of the 4 teams in this final 4 are teams that had first round buys. So kind of just the Phillies, it was a case of they were the best team in baseball in July, and they were so damn good that they were able to coast in those last 2 months without playing the best baseball.
Yeah, I think what really hurt them, Bohm, his season hurt them a little bit. They'd kind of figured out how to win, though. Real Muto came back. They moved Castellanos up to the cleanup spot. They did a lot of things right, but in a 3-game series, you can go back even with the hottest teams in baseball, go back through their season log, look at games, and you'll find teams really good teams that scuffle on a 3-game series.
Yeah. And the Mets right now are just absolutely red hot. And the fact that, they knocked the Brewers out of the playoffs, so they're World Series bound anyway. It's just that, the numbers weren't there for them. The math just didn't add up for the Phillies to advance to the NLCS. We have game 1. Let's stay in the NLCS. Let's talk National League here in game 1. Mets have had a couple more days rest than Dodgers in so far. They have Kodai Senga pitching for them again in game 1 of the NLCS, same as he did in the NLDS. And old friend Jack Flaherty gets the start for the Dodgers. This is why the Dodgers went out and got him. They went out and they got him to be able to be a legitimate starter for them in the postseason. And Jack Flaherty gets his chance pitching for the Dodgers in the playoffs, a childhood dream come true.
He was not good in his last start. Historically, you would think he probably bounces back a little bit. We've already seen the quick hooks in October baseball. Although I haven't seen any of those really backfire. I thought Schilt got Darvish a little early, but they're not scoring. Most of the quick hooks weren't relevant to the outcome of the game. And the bullpens have been really, really worked. We'll see if they've been overworked. And the Dodgers, because as you point out, didn't have as many days off as the Mets. We'll see if that becomes a factor.
And this is something. I mean, we see it in the postseason. We've seen it. Tony La Russa, kind of the godfather of doing this and kind of introducing it into the postseason, where it more than any point in the regular season, it's a 162 game marathon, and once you are into the postseason, it is. I mean, it's a race to win 3 games, race to win 2 games, a race to win 3 games. And now that you're in the NLCS, a race to win 4 games. And in those games too, you break it down even further. It's a race to get 27 outs. And that is how managers have gotten to this point where in the regular season, it's managing that entire team, managing the health of your players, managing to get to 90, 95 wins. And now that you get to the postseason, it's all right. Who are my arms that are going to find me those 27 outs and along the way find a way to score more runs than the other team? And that's what we're seeing now. It's all right. Hey, you know what? You got me 12 outs. Great. I was hoping for 9. You got me 12. Now we go on to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. And these bullpens that the Dodgers and the Mets have, and more so the Dodgers now, it seems like Dave Roberts kind of has his guys in place to get those final 15 outs of the game.
maybe the key guy, if the Dodgers go on and win, the key acquisition in all of baseball this summer, Kopech,
Yes.
might be the key guy. Oh, what about Ohtani? Well, you had all those guys, and you had guys step up for each other and that sort of thing. What's the difference for them? It might be Kopech. And now he may blow up the rest of the month, but as of right now, he would be my leader if there was such an award as an in-season acquisition award. I think he would get it.
Let's look at the lineups for tonight's game before we move on to the American League game at Dodger Stadium. Again, 7:15 start time, 5:15 start time out in L.A. Kota Senga for the Mets, Jack Flaherty for the Dodgers. Mets lead off like this. Francisco Lindor is at short. Mark Vientos is at third. Brandon Nimmo bats third and plays left. Pete Alonso making his NLCS debut at first base. Starlin Marte in right. Jesse Winker is DHing. Jose Iglesias at second, Tyrone Taylor in center, and Francisco Alvarez behind the plate. For the Dodgers, Shohei starts in as a DH. Mookie Betts is in right. Freddie Freeman at first. Teoscar Hernandez in left. Will Smith behind the plate. Max Muncy at third. Kike Hernandez in center field. Gavin Lux at second. And Tommy Edman gets the start at short. So Rojas still not ready to go for the Dodgers with that hamstring injury, with that thigh injury. They are, they have the pieces there. They still have a decent bench. Chris Taylor still sitting there on the bench, lurking for them. But Dave Roberts is really having to, come up with a plan for that second half of his lineup, and defensively too, with a lot of where he's going to put these guys.
All right. You did both lineups, so let's go all the way back to the beginning there. I really like Vientos, and despite the results, which that's what's real, that's not opinion, I just don't get Nimmo hitting third. He drives in a lot of runs. His raw numbers are good. His averages of on base and I don't get it, but it's been working for them, and they're a team that has to find ways to win. And if that's what they found to win, more power to them. When you get to the Dodgers, I do like the way their lineup has stretched out. Kike is they're Mr. October now. You got Tommy hitting at the bottom. That's a great spot for him. A great spot. Teoscar Hernandez, I remember when he came over early in the year, you and I on this show were talking about how he's going to end up being a key guy for them. And sure enough, he has been, especially when Betts was out for so long, really made a difference in their lineup. But when you look at Muncy and Lux, who have been just okay, and Muncy's been hurt, I think those are two really, really dangerous hitters when you look at their career numbers. And if they play close to their career numbers, top to bottom, that's the best lineup in postseason remaining.
Yeah, what's so looking at the numbers and kind of digging in deeper to them. I know there was a discussion, and there has been a little bit of debate on Francisco Lindor being an MVP candidate this year.
What a stud! I'm so glad he bounced back.
Yes. I just want to say, so just looking at some of the numbers, though, and to show just how much better Shohei Ohtani is this year than Francisco Lindor, just looking at certain numbers here and there, because I was curious about the total bases with both of these guys being leadoff hitters. Shohei Ohtani has 102 more total bases on the season than Francisco Lindor. And that's not even to say that Francisco Lindor had a down year. Francisco Lindor is 11th in baseball when it comes to total bases on the season. That's how better Shohei was when it came to just the raw power numbers that he had on the year. 102 more total bases than Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, Ohtani's the MVP. There's no question about it. In fact, he's so good. If the Dodgers had not made postseason, let's say they would have finished, second and not got into postseason at all, he'd still be the MVP. He'd pull an Andre Dawson.
Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Absolutely. So that is what we have tonight in the National League. Tomorrow is when your ALCS begins. 2 games tomorrow, 3:08 for Mets and Dodgers. Sean Manaea already named the starter for the Mets. No starter listed yet for the Dodgers. In the ALCS, Alex Cobb gets the start for the Guardians. Carlos Rodon gets the start for the Yankees in that series. That's going to be a fun one. That's a rematch from last year. That is going to be, or from 2 years ago. That is going to be a really, really fun series between the Guardians and the Yankees. 2 teams, both with a lot of offensive power up and down. And that Guardians bullpen, though, if they are getting a lead, they have a lot of arms to go to in that bullpen to shut things down.
Yeah, they really do. Will it end up being a Class A versus Luke Weaver series? Wouldn't that be interesting? Speaking of former Cardinals, 2 words for you. Lane Thomas. Remember, I was talking about him a little bit, how, hey, he's having a pretty nice year for Washington. He goes to Cleveland. Yeah, he's doing fine. Now he's hitting cleanup for Cleveland.
Hitting grand slams off Tariq Skubal.
Off Skubal. And I'm going,
that is okay, but Lane Thomas is a guy that I'm putting in the same category as an Adolis Garcia because he had the injury.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, he went to the Nationals. He wasn't setting the world. He wasn't leading the Nationals to playoff runs.
It even took him a couple years to kind of be a regular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is one of those where you look back and you're just like, same with Luke. I mean, I have seen people complain. Oh, look at Luke Weaver thriving in New York. Go look at his numbers when he was in Arizona. I mean, the fact that any team gave him a chance and then he just fell into the closer role in New York, that's one of those too where pump the brakes a little bit on thinking Luke Weaver's the one that got away.
Well, I think they all got away. I'm bitter. No, it is funny though how guys, it is crazy how maturity, change of scenery, and I'm not saying it's because of coaching, but you connect with somebody. Maybe it's opportunity. Maybe it's getting in your head. Maybe it's getting out of your head and letting you just go play. And it's probably all different things, whether you're talking about Garcia or Rosarena, who has ended up being his own worst enemy. Lane Thomas, Tyler O'Neill. You can go up and down all these guys that we say, oh, they got away. And there's no one simple answer to why they've had some success away from St. Louis. I think a lot of it is opportunity and maturity.
One thing to watch that we do not have and we will not report on, we're not going to do a show tomorrow at all, but Anthony Rizzo, who has been out for 2 weeks now due to 2 fractured fingers. Crazy. He took multiple ground balls and did a lot of defensive work at first base today for the Yankees. There is a chance that he will be on the ALCS roster, according to Aaron Boone. That would be a huge boost for them if they are able to get Anthony Rizzo back in that lineup.
I think more of an emotional boost than maybe a actual boost. He hadn't been the same guy for a couple of years that we saw in the National League. However, he doesn't have to be the old Anthony Rizzo for 6 months. He's only got to do it for about 3 more weeks. And we've seen that, whether you want to talk about Will Clark or going back in my day, Cesar Cedeno, guys that get hot 2-3 weeks, a month, 6 weeks. And if he can go back to being who he was, he'll get he can put the practical effects along with the emotional effects. And I'm really pulling for Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, that would just for what we have seen him do in the postseason and for being that spark plug for the Yankees, you want to see both teams at full force in the playoffs. So it would be it'd be fun to watch that Guardians team though. Jose Ramirez right there in the middle of it. That too is another really fun.
He's the best third baseman in the big leagues currently, correct?
I
think he
will.
is.
I will agree with you right now, blindly, as
Without going
sit
through
here
every
and yeah,
roster.
without sitting through every roster in
That dude
baseball.
is
Yes.
just a stud. And Stephen Kwan, he is unbelievable. If they can keep him off base, the Yankees can win. If he's on base 3 times a night, the Yankees are going to have some problems.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And at some point, I wonder, because we saw it in the ALDS, we have seen Stephen Vogt. He's starting to go to Emmanuel Clase in the 8th inning now. He's
Yeah.
asking for him to close out. In Game 5, it was a 5-run, or 6-out save. He's asking for more and more about him. Will that burn the Guardians at some point in this ALCS of going to him too many times? We saw the Tigers get to him already in one game.
First time I've ever seen him get blown up.
Yes. At some point, will that catch up to them, and will that affect the best closer in all of baseball getting hit in October?
You know what's really interesting is when you play the odds as a manager, I identify as a manager. When you play those odds, okay, he's a 1-inning guy his whole career. Now we need him to go more versus let's use everybody in the bullpen every night. Which one is more likely to blow up? I think the second scenario, when you're going 5-6 guys a night, in my opinion, you're really rolling the dice that one of them is going to have a bad night. I would go with the Class A multiple innings if those were my only 2 choices.
Rammer, I am conflicted on a prediction for these series for just multiple reasons on all of the possibilities for any of these series right now. Do you have a possible series that you want to see? World Series.
Despite the annoyance of the East Coast bias wanting the Subway Series, that would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool. So therefore, I'm rooting for a Dodger Cleveland series.
I am rooting for the Guardians to make the World Series because I would like to go to one of those World Series games.
Oh, you're thinking Southwest Airlines. Very good.
I'll drive that. That's fine with me. I'm
Road
not,
warrior.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. But with the past few years that they have had, I would love to see Judge versus Ohtani in the World Series.
That would be really fun. Yeah,
yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
That would be really, really fun.
We did a very good job of kicking any kind of predictions and not really making one and dancing around it, I think, in a really good way for the World.
I think the Dodgers will win. I think they have a superior roster. The Yankees Indians is a tougher one. Both of them have struggled in the bottom of their batting orders. You got Clase and Weaver. That's the one I don't know that I have a prediction on that one.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Cleveland win, but I'm not anti-Yankee either. They're a marvelous team to watch, but because the Guardians have a terrific leadoff hitter, they have a great run producer hitting third. They've got the best closer in the game, and they have Lane Thomas. I think that puts them over the top. So I'll go ahead and predict Cleveland, LA.
We will be back on Wednesday after both series go 2 games and they start to shift venues. We will be back on Wednesday to look at what we saw in games 1 and 2 of both series and see when they head to their new venues and break it down from there. And when we come back, as always, we will be brought to you by Munganast St. Louis Acura and Rammer Royal Banks.
Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC, an equal opportunity lender.
He is Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. Talk to you next time right here on Daily Cards Live.
Munganast St. Louis Acura has the all-electric Acura ZDX. The ZDX can go up to 313 miles on a single charge, and the DC fast charging lets the ZDX gain up to 80 miles in just 10 minutes. When you lease an Acura ZDX, you can save up to $7,500 with a federal EV lease credit. Or you can buy the new ZDX and get 0.9% for up to 72 months. Come on in to Munganast St. Louis Acura and take a look at the new ZDX for yourself.